Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel and today we need to talk about an article on the flight sim news outlet Threshold. This is the article that we need to talk about. PMDG face EFB backlash from the 19th of October 2023 from the author Rob Parks. The article is led by a picture of the PMDG 737 with the words banned, censored and denied on top of them, and within the article Rob Parks accuses PMDG of not living up to its commitments, of having a pattern of over-promising and under-delivering, and finally of having developed the practice of banning or removing paying customers' posts from their forums if they contain criticism against the development group. Now, these are some very serious accusations, and they're topped off by him saying that as of the 19th of October 2023, the editorial-in-chief was banned from their forums due to them being unhappy with the current direction things are going and asking them to comment or voice their concerns. Very serious accusations we have in here, and in this video we're going to talk about if they are justified or not. Before we do that, however, let me ask you a question. Is it possible that Threshold has tried to blackmail PMDG into paying a larger sum of money, and if they don't do that, they're going to post bad PR about them? We're going to get back to that one towards the end of the video. Before we start, however, let's quickly put this one into context. The post is from the 19th of October, and looking into the different Threshold articles on the 18th of October, PMDG has teased the upcoming EFB for the 737 lineup with that picture that I'm sure most of you have seen by now. A little bit later then, on the 21st of October, PMDG have revealed the planned release date for the upcoming Universal Flight Tablet and posted their major announcement, as has been covered by Threshold as well. Now, having a look into the post, into the article that Rob Parks has posted over here, there is a lot of things written in here. He goes ahead in the first section above the picture, saying things like the EFB was touted as a revolutionary addition to PMDG's 737, or going ahead and saying PMDG, as a prominent player in the market, has set high standards for itself, and so on. Basically, in the first part of the article, he draws up the people's expectations about the EFB. In the second part of the article, then, he goes ahead and exclusively posts negative about PMDG, saying that they're not living up to the commitments, saying that they have a pattern of over-promising and under-delivering, and going ahead and having a pattern saying updates will be released or teased soon has become all too frequent, and so on. Now, we're talking about a professional news outlet here, like Threshold, who are earning probably serious money with this, and we're talking about a professional author with Rob Parks claiming himself to be the editor-in-chief. So, surely, a professional author on an article that must have been reviewed before it's been posted to a website like this will be very aware of the power words can have. And using words as strong as banned or censored in the very header have a very strong impact on the people reading this. So now we need to ask, whom is this article aimed for in first place? We all know the internet. We all know that you will always find haters if you only search for them. You will find haters hating about PMDG, haters about Phoenix, haters about Leonardo, haters about Microsoft Flight Simulator not fitting up and flying on rails, and pretty much everything you want haters for, you will find them somewhere. But have you ever heard of the silent majority versus the loud minority? Well, the current state of the internet makes it difficult to determine how large a group actually is. It is a commonly known phenomenon that people who made bad experience with something are going to voice their opinion, while people who are happy will typically not do so, with a certain minority of them posting about it anyway. So how big are either of those groups? Well, while we don't have any figures due to the very way how the internet is trying to spread positivity, for example by not showing downvotes anymore, but by mostly showing upvotes, it is quite difficult to determine the size of these groups. However, as a content creator myself, I'm getting to see a little bit more of the statistics than the average viewer does. In particular, having a look into my very own YouTube content, I can see the ratio of likes versus dislikes on the very top over here. So if we have a look into my latest PMDG videos, you can get the idea over here that generally they receive something above 95% of likes. And going over the latest videos about the EFB in particular, we've got one here from July 27th, where PMDG announced the EFB is in the final stages. That one received 455 likes versus 24 dislikes. Then we had the famous announcement of the actual, or the famous announcement that PMDG have set an internal release timeline. And that one received 650 upvotes versus 22 downvotes. Then we've got the first picture analysis when PMDG had published that teaser picture, and over here 355 likes versus 13 dislikes. And then finally my video from a little bit after the original article that we're talking about, where the full PMDG preview is here, where we've got, well, a rather bad ratio of likes versus dislikes compared to the others, but still you can see 737 upvotes versus 57 downvotes. That gives us a rough idea of how large that group of haters actually is. Now, why you need to write an article that mainly caters to those cliches that the haters are posting about? Well, negative PR usually earns more money than positive PR. I know that from my own videos. But you need to ask if it's really justified to make those negative PRs instead then, especially when the very same news outlet Threshold, even though with a different author, made some very positive comments about the teaser and then later on about the actual announcement. By the way, talking about positive comments, in the very own Threshold comment section, I don't see anything negative on either of those two. And on the very article that we're talking about, I see 2 comments down there, and neither of them is as negative as the author claims the internet would generally perceive PMDG at the moment. So let's now talk about fake news. Before we do that, let's have a very quick look into the story of Threshold themselves, saying they hold morals before malice, and going down a little bit further, they say in their editorial stance that our responsibility is to provide honest, unbiased and truthful information to our readers. On the right hand side then we can see a little bit more through that, talking about how important trust is and that our reviews have to be fair no matter who sells the product. So Threshold themselves do employ a rather high standard on themselves, so now let's have a look into how this article actually fits into it. I'll find the article going over the editorial over here. So let's just start with the introduction, where he is talking up and creating hype and expectations, which he later then busts in the remaining part of his article. We're going to start up here saying that PMDG has generated significant anticipation with the announcement of an electronic flightback for their 737 lineup for MSFS. The EFB was touted as a revolutionary addition to PMDG's 737, promising enhanced functionality. So, first of all, could you tell me where exactly PMDG had that separate announcement of the electronic flightback? It was announced from the very first day onwards that an EFB would come at a later point. Then, the EFB was touted as a revolutionary addition to the 737. Well, no, it was not really touted as a revolutionary addition. The only revolutionary piece of software that was advertised for the EFB by PMDG was actually the fact that it created a way of communication between 2 different coding languages that was previously impossible in Microsoft Flight Simulator. That is back-end stuff that PMDG faced as a challenge over there, and, well, that is not really visible for the user, is it? So, going on then, in the lower part of his article, he starts by saying PMDG does not live up to its commitments. Well, kindly show me where that is the case, where they did not hold up a promise of delivery that they made. Sure enough, there's been a huge delay in the EFB, but saying that they don't live up to its commitments, I would love to hear about what exactly that part is based on. Then going on, He says forums and social media groups and other online platforms become venues for discussing PMDG's shortcomings. Well, then again, as I pointed out, the majority is usually the silent part. Going on in his article, however, let's talk about this one. PMDG has developed a practice of banning or removing paying customers from their forums if they contain criticism against the development group. Well, that one, contrary to Threshold saying that they're about the honest and truthful opinion, is a flat-out lie. Continuing with flat-out fake news and lies in this article, let's have a look at this one. As of the 19th of October 2023, the editorial-in-chief was banned from their forums due to them being unhappy with the current direction things are going and asking them to comment or voice their concerns. So, the editorial-in-chief was not banned from the PMDG forums. That is simply a lie. Now, we can see that ourselves by looking into this very post from Matthias Koch from the 20th of October, replying to customers' comment down here, linking the article in question and asking if there is any truth to it. Well, let's have a look at it. So, Matthias clearly says the editor-in-chief, however, is not fully correct. He got an infraction and is not banned. Due to all these, well, uncertainties, I sent a message to Chris Marcus, PMDG's chief moderator, and I got this very response over here. I asked him to provide me with a post that he received his ban from, but, well, as Chris says, he can't do as the post was removed. He received one infraction due to how he replied to the teaser release post. His account was never banned and is still active. Now we've got an author who is very aware of the words he is writing. He puts up the banner banned and censored at the very top of his article, while obviously he never got banned. Now just to ensure completely that PMDG is not making up any lies over here as to, well, we never banned him, let's have a look into the user profile of our author in question. I'm recording this on the 23rd of October and you can see last activity yesterday at 7:30. And just to be very clear, on the About profile, this gentleman lists himself as chief editor at ThresholdX.net and Boeing 737-6757-777 captain. So this is the guy in question. Let's have a look into a couple of his recent activities. While we cannot understand what he might have received the infraction for as that comment has been removed, we can surely understand a little bit of the last stuff he's been posting about, and therefore we may be able to come down to a general idea of what he's up to and what might have earned him the infraction. So, before we do that, PMDG forum rules, two things over here. Number 2, be nice, and that one is especially important these days because a couple of months ago PMDG started that be nice offensive in their forums where they started to get a little bit more moderative about generally insulting and bad comments. So that one is important. And then down here we've got rule number 6, respect PMDG, where they clearly say, we also like to hear what you think we can improve or what isn't working. Just be sure to treat the team respectfully. So, with those rules in mind, let's have a look over the posts that this gentleman made over the past. So, I'm just starting in a chronological order with the last stuff he posted over here. So, it bewilders me how they can be so ignorant of what they're doing, or maybe they just don't care. Going a little bit further down in the next post, I've seen Robert Randazzo reply to customers. He decides to make smart what he thinks are funny remarks. Going a little bit further down then, into the further posts, they have things like, the usual then Robert S. Randazzo, with the vast majority of your paying customers ask you to do better, it should be your ambition, but criticism has never been something taken well in the world of PMDG, so I will leave it at that. Then going a little bit further down, he says that all except one staff member usually reply with smart comments. Obviously smart being ironic in this particular case. And then going all the way to the bottom, we've got the announcement from the 7th of October, where PMDG have announced that they were in a far advanced development stage and that they have set themselves an internal release date now. He goes ahead with this. So you have a release date, and it's ready for release, the latter of which PMDG never set, but you won't share it? This better be the most incredible EFB ever created, as it's taken almost as long as the aircraft to develop. In this case, no, developing the aircraft took several years longer. The opinion looking around the wider community is shocking towards PMDG. Customers are getting frustrated with this carry-on. Which carry-on, if I may ask? If you don't believe me, take a look at any of the major flights and news outlets and view the comments on any PMDG post they have. Okay, let's quickly do that once more. So this is the article in question. I don't see any negative comment. This is the teaser from the 18th of October, and this is the post over which the actual announcement was made on 21st. Well, so I did take a look over those, but apparently this gentleman doesn't even know the comment sections of his own very news outlet. Well, in any case, we can see that there is quite a bit of negativism spread in his comments here, calling them ignorant, calling them only making smart comments, and these likes. Those are clear violations of the forum rules. However, the fact that these posts still stand do suggest that this gentleman has never actually overstepped the rules with these comments, but he's probably overstepped them with the comment "the likes" at a later point in time. Unfortunately, we cannot verify this, so this is only speculation. However, I do believe it is reasonable to say that with the comments he's made previously, and seeing the style in which this article is written, it is very likely that he overstepped a boundary and earned himself an infraction, not a ban or a censorship as he claims in his article. There is one more element in this article that I quickly want to talk about. Boulevard journalists as well as politicians are very good at not making comments their own, but making them perceive by the audience as if they were stated as a fact. We see this very thing in this article, saying that concerns about the delays of the EFB release and perceived lack of transparency regarding the development status were raised on the internet. This led to a growing sentiment that the company was not living up to its commitments. In other words, he doesn't make these comments his own. He's using the same argument or that same style as politicians and boulevard journalists are down there to say something that people perceive as being a fact, while in the end, when being questioned about it, he can say, "Oh, I never said that, I just said what I read elsewhere." The same we see over here, seeing the flight sim community is a tightly knit and dissatisfaction with developers' practices can spread rapidly. Forums, social media group and other online platforms became venues for discussing PMDG's shortcomings. Again, over there, he goes on to say some users expressed frustration not only with the delayed EFB but also with what they perceive as a pattern of overpromising and under-delivering. Once again, he goes to say that, oh, the community is saying that, I'm never saying that my own. Well, a professional author like this gentleman Rob Parks up here surely knows about what he is writing there and how that is going to come across with his readers. Obviously, he left himself the ability to say in the aftermath that, oh, I never said that, I just say what some people say on the internet. But, as mentioned, that is a known stylistic way of writing your articles, so don't try to talk yourself out of that. So after seeing this article violate Threshold's own editorial stance by not keeping completely truthful and unbiased, but rather by flat out lying in regarding to the editor-in-chief receiving a ban, and by flat out raising incorrect assumptions by talking about censorship in terms of PMDG, and by flat out making these, well, accusations which surely can't pass on as unbiased, I'm asking myself how this article fits into the editorial stance of Threshold, especially since we're talking about the editorial-in-chief of this very news outlet. Now let's return to the very beginning of this video, where I raised the question if Threshold might have tried to blackmail PMDG into paying a sum of money, and if they don't pay that, they will post a bad PR. Well, this article fits rather nicely into that question, seeing that it came on the 19th of October, just a day after PMDG put up the teaser of the EFB, and I think it is undoubtable to say that PMDG's EFB is their most anticipated release in at least 1 year's time. Probably their most anticipated release since the 737-800. Now, putting negative PR in a position like this can surely have bad consequences in that particular company. For example, this article found its way over the internet and many people are now talking about it in exactly the way that I said this one over here would end out, seeing that he is catering for common conspiracy theories about the loud minorities of haters on the internet. Well, I as well used a politician and boulevard journalist method in this very video. I asked you guys a question. Is it possible that Threshold could have blackmailed PMDG? Well, I asked this as a question, but everybody's going to perceive it as, oh, Threshold did that. Just like Threshold themselves, or Rob Parks in this case, saying that he might hopefully not speak for the entire Threshold, has made accusations in a form where he can distance himself from. I can very well distance myself from the argument if Threshold might have blackmailed PMDG, but there has to be at least a little bit of data out there that I can back that comment up with, that I can have this, well, ability to back out of the comment. And we're going to get that piece of information right from down here, that post where we talked about, or that post where this article has been linked in the PMDG forum. And read this comment from Robert Randazzo. We've had news sites call us and plead for money to fund their site overhauls. The request comes with a wink nod that we will always be given top marks in reviews if we are willing to contribute to their financial shortfall. When we decline, they inevitably trash us in reviews, which again is a shame as it disrespects the community. So with this in mind, and seeing that this is pretty much the pattern that Threshold is showing over here, I can very well ask the question if Threshold might be the news outlet that Robert Randazzo has been referring to. However, in no case, neither I said they are, nor did Robert Randazzo say they are. But it's simply comment put out there in the very same way how Rob Parks put comments out there in his very article without actually having any evidence to back any of this stuff up down here. Especially comments like PMDG is not being transparent about delays, or talking about their EFB debacle when I'm really not sure how it is one. In any case, I wonder how you, Rob Parks, like to taste your own medicine of doing overstatements and using tricks and techniques into making statements that possibly don't have anything to back them up with. You do it talking bad about PMDG. I did it suggesting that you might have tried to bribe them or tried to blackmail them into paying you in order not to release an article like this. Well, with this I'm passing the ball off to Threshold to see what kind of response they're going to come up with. Obviously they're going to deny any attempt to blackmail PMDG. Then again, I do say straight out in this video, I'm not suggesting they did. I'm just putting out there that some news outlets did, without any background if Threshold has actually been it. Thank you for watching, guys. Think about this one. Have a look into the comments below, see what others think about this one, and finally share your opinion, as I'm really interested to hear what you think about this one. In the meantime, be sure to leave a like or a dislike to this video so that I can see the relationship of how many of you agree or disagree. And finally, if you're interested in more and if you're interested to see the EFB in action, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much for watching. 24 minutes into the video, I really expected it to become a little bit less, but I am certainly looking forward to your comments and opinions on this one. I see you all again on the next one. In the meantime, enjoy whatever aircraft you're flying, and don't try to let yourself be talked into any of that haterism that we see on the internet from the very loud minority compared to the silent majority who enjoys all kind of flights and products. Thank you very much, and see you all again on the next one.